The notification popped up on my screen at exactly 3:17 a.m., the soft blue glow of my monitor the only light in my cramped home office. As a cybersecurity researcher specializing in dark web analysis, I'd seen my share of disturbing content. But something about this file made my skin crawl before I'd even opened it. The file name was simply a string of numbers. 202502117_0322.mp4. Today's date, followed by a timestamp 5 minutes in the future. I'd found it buried deep in a hidden forum, nestled among discussions of quantum computing and theoretical physics. The thread title had caught my eye: Temporal Paradox Proof. Most posts were the usual pseudoscientific garbage, but this video file had been uploaded by a user whose posts I'd been tracking for months. Their technical knowledge was impressive, their theories sound, if unconventional. Until now, they'd never shared any files. My office suddenly felt colder, the shadows in the corners deeper. Through my window I could see the first flakes of an unexpected snowstorm beginning to fall, adding to the unnatural stillness of the early morning hours. The weather alert on my phone warned of an approaching blizzard. Perfect timing for my late-night research session. My cursor hovered over the file. Standard protocol was to run it through multiple virus scans, analyze the metadata, and open it in a secure sandbox environment. But something compelled me to double-click it directly. Maybe it was fatigue from too many consecutive all-nighters, or perhaps simple curiosity. That single decision would prove to be my undoing. The video player opened, showing a scene that made my blood run cold. It was my office. This office, shot from the perspective of my webcam. The timestamp in the corner read 3:22 a.m. In the frame, I could see myself sitting at my desk, illuminated by the monitor's glow, wearing the exact same clothes I had on now. The video me was completely still, focused on the screen. My first thought was that someone had hacked my webcam, but the timestamp was wrong. This hadn't happened yet. I checked the time. 3:18 a.m. 4 minutes until the video's events would supposedly occur. I reached up to disconnect my webcam, but it was already unplugged. Had been for months, part of my standard security practices. In the video, nothing happened for several seconds. Then, at exactly 3:22:17, something emerged from the darkness behind video me. I couldn't make out what it was. Just a blur of movement, too fast for the camera to capture clearly. Video me never had a chance to react. The figure lunged and the screen went black. The video was only 47 seconds long. It ended at 3:23 a.m. My heart was pounding now. 3:19 a.m. 3 minutes left. This had to be some kind of elaborate hoax. The office in the video was a perfect match for mine, down to the coffee stain on my desk and the crooked Breaking Bad poster on the wall. But it couldn't be real. Time doesn't work that way. I got up from my chair, pacing the small room. The snow was falling harder now, thick flakes swirling in the darkness beyond my window. 3:20 a.m. I should leave, just to prove to myself this was nonsense. But my feet wouldn't move toward the door. Instead, I found myself rewatching the video, analyzing every frame, and looking for evidence of manipulation. 3:21 a.m. 1 minute left. My palms were sweating. The rational part of my brain was screaming that this was impossible, but primal instinct was telling me to run. The sound of my own breathing seemed unnaturally loud in the quiet room. That's when I noticed something in the video I hadn't seen before. In the bottom right corner of my monitor, barely visible in the frame, was a small chat window. I leaned closer to read it. The text was from the same user who'd posted the video file. The loop can't be broken. I'm sorry. 3:22 a.m. My eyes darted to the dark corner behind me. my heart threatening to burst from my chest. Nothing there. Just shadows. 3 hours, 22 minutes, 16 seconds. 1 second left. The movement came exactly as shown in the video, but now I understood the horrible truth. The figure wasn't lunging at me. It was emerging from me, as if something was peeling away from my own shadow, stepping into reality like a photograph developing in reverse. In that moment of clarity, I realized why the video had seemed so familiar, why every detail was perfect. I wasn't watching a prediction of the future. I was watching a recording of my past, my last moments, played on endless repeat. The shadow thing reached for me with hands made of darkness, and I finally understood the message in the chat window. This wasn't the first time I tried to escape. I'd been here before countless times, always making the same choices, always reaching the same end. 3, 23, 4. The world twisted, reality folding in on itself like a Mobius strip, and I found myself back at my desk. My screen showed a notification. Download complete. The file name was familiar. 202-50217 underscore 0322.mp4. Through my window, I watched the first snowflakes begin to fall, right on schedule. My hands moved to open the file, even as my mind screamed in protest. But I couldn't stop myself. The loop had to be maintained. Time itself demanded it. In the video player, I could see myself sitting at my desk, illuminated by the monitor's glow. The timestamp read 3:22 a.m. I knew what would happen next, had known all along, through every iteration, through every desperate attempt to change the outcome. The truth wasn't that I would die at 3:23 and 4 seconds. The truth was that I already had, an unknowable time ago, in the first iteration of this loop. Everything since then had been echoes, ripples in space-time, my consciousness trapped in an endless recursion of my final moments. As the shadow thing emerged once again, I thought about the forum user who'd posted the video. They'd tried to warn me, in their way, but they couldn't have known that they, too, were part of the loop, another version of myself from a previous iteration, leaving breadcrumbs I would never be able to follow to safety. The darkness reached for me, and I reached back, finally accepting my role in this eternal cycle. After all, I was both the victim and the shadow now, both the observer and the observed, caught in a temporal paradox of my own creation. At 3:23 and 4 seconds, the loop would reset. It always did. And somewhere in the dark web, another version of me would find a mysterious video file, named with tomorrow's date and a timestamp 5 minutes in the future. The last thing I saw before the darkness claimed me was my own reflection in the monitor, my face merging with the shadow things, becoming the very entity I'd been trying to escape. In that final moment, I understood the true horror. I wasn't trapped in a time loop. I was the loop. And somewhere, in another iteration, another version of me was just clicking download complete.